While some organisms of SNAIAD may seem analogous to earthly creatures, their truly alien nature defies simple comparison. Picozoans, for example, are tiny, insect-like beings with unique adaptations such as cartilage-only skeletons and worm-like larval stages, allowing them to thrive in distinct ecological niches across tens of thousands of species. Giant nosy moles, nearly as large as a person's hand, are the giants of the picozoan realm. A saurian's behavior and biology largely resemble those of other Giganti-picozoans, except for its distinctive fatty, food-storing tail and its habit of lurking in holes to ambush passing prey. Based on these traits, some researchers have proposed a possible connection between Giganti-picozoans and the chasmostomes, but recent molecular studies do not support this idea. It appears more likely that these shared traits arose through convergent evolution rather than any direct evolutionary link. Picozoans divide into two major lineages, which may or may not be closely related. One branch, the Giganti-picozoans like Prosarion and Asarion, resembles traditional SNAIAD vertebrates more closely in their structure and lifestyle. These giants can reach up to 10 or even 20 centimeters in size. Unlike other picozoans, they have fully developed legs instead of reduced, fused limbs, retain most of their skeletal structure, and skip the peculiar larval phase, instead hatching from eggs as miniature versions of adults. Prosarion, a typical Gigantopicozoan, lives much like a small mole, using its strong forelimbs to burrow through soil and consuming whatever it encounters with its sensitive primary head, which also functions as an egg sac. Unlike many of its relatives, Prosarion rarely ventures into sprog or leaf litter, remaining mostly underground. To adapt to this lifestyle, it has evolved a series of protective scuts along its back. Some picozoans have developed highly camouflaged body shapes and unique, irregular scales to avoid predators. One striking example is Arboreal, a large eupycozoan that, though impressive in size, is exceptionally rare within its jungle environment. Only a few individuals have ever been recorded, captured by remote cameras or found in research traps. While they've been observed feeding on small animals and certain plants, much about their life cycle, including their mysterious worm stage, remains elusive. Herbivorous picozoans, like Dactylopus, exhibit extreme adaptations in digit extension. In a reversal of typical leg development seen in SNAIAD vertebrates, they've lost all supporting muscles and structures around their primary 2 digits on each limb, allowing these 4 pairs of digits to function as tiny independent legs. These creatures feed by inserting their secondary head, which acts as a stomach, into incisions they make in plant tubes and roots, extracting water and nutrients. The larvae of this species consume certain toxic erythrophytes, and after metamorphosis, they retain these toxins to ward off predators. Their toxicity is boldly advertised through their striking red and blue coloration. Topi is a true picozoan, or eupycozoan, characterized by hydraulically operated fingers in place of legs, an exceptionally small adult size, and a distinct juvenile stage as a worm. In their worm stage, these creatures live within the stalks of certain green land plants, while adults inhabit sprog, feeding on decaying organic material and small animals, including other picozoans. All topi species have notably elongated primary heads that function as sensory probes. In life, they are highly active and jittery, constantly poking their noses and secondary heads about in a rapid search for food and mates. After a brief pregnancy, females give birth by squeezing out their young like tiny, living strands from their swollen primary head, which serves as their reproductive organ. The successful diversification of picozoans led to tiny counterparts for nearly every large-scale ecological drama on SNAIAD. While most picozoans are omnivores or herbivores, some groups have evolved to specialize as predators. One of the most widespread predatory groups is the Turtiforms, or bids, whose behavior has even influenced SNAIAD culture, where the terms bid and pid are used to describe someone who is irritable, annoying, or cruel. Bids deliver swift death to their prey with sudden leaps powered by their spring-like rear finger legs, launching themselves onto unsuspecting victims. Their prey, typically other picozoans or their juvenile forms, is dispatched by the pincer-like grasp of their front finger legs. Recent research reveals that some Turtiforms possess a dermal toxin on their pincers, though Mokti-hai itself lacks this poison. Like nearly all Turtiforms, they have exceptionally large eyes, proportionately among the largest in all of SNAIAD. Polydactyls is a term for various groups of SNAIAD vertebrates, distinguished by multiple digits on their limbs, derived from ancestral centipede-like tube limbs. While most modern polydactyls are small and occupy minor niches, fossil records show that some extinct lineages once grew to megafaunal sizes, and the unusual turtiforms might also belong to this group. Cryptodactylus exemplifies a common phenomenon in SNAIAD evolution known as snaking, the reduction of limbs, which has independently occurred across many animal groups on the planet. Although Cryptodactylus itself is a relatively obscure creature that digs through sandy soils to hunt similar burrowers, its identity as a polydactyl, evident from the scale-like vestigial fingers and toes embedded in its body wall, highlights the vast diversity and ancient lineage of this group, which is found across every continent on SNAIAD. Cryptodactylus is part of a unique, burrowing, legless group of polydactyls known as punctatophids, which are found only on the continent of Thalassia. Some of these species are highly abundant and serve as a primary food source for various Mikado species. The subcontinent of Auraland, which has been isolated as an island for much of its geological history, is home to many unique animal groups, including the Tubibrachids. These unusual polydactyls are highly adapted to freshwater environments, living flattened along the bottoms of rivers or ponds. While they spend their entire lives underwater, they can hibernate in mud or crawl weakly on land if the water dries up. What sets them apart from other SNAIAD vertebrates is their tube-like snorkels extending from their armpits to their lungs, allowing them to breathe without surfacing, though they primarily absorb oxygen directly from the water through their guts, inhaled by their second heads. Platymoloch and similar Tubibrachids are peaceful creatures that sweep their flattened second heads along the sediment, filtering small animals, plants, and organic matter. While not particularly active, they can escape danger by swimming in a surprisingly quick, waving motion. These creatures are among the living fossils of SNAIAD, with fossilized specimens like Echinodesmus and Platytitanes, dating back 80 million years, showing little difference from their modern counterparts, aside from their larger size. Telescopocephalus is one of the 3,000 species of whip sliders found throughout SNAIAD, with the exception of Thalassia, AAR, and the Endland. In both form and function, these creatures resemble SNAIAD lizards, though other lineages on SNAIAD have independently evolved similar body shapes and lifestyles. Tunicosaurs vary in size and shape, but they all share key characteristics, including multiple toes, long, tentacle-like second heads, and unique extensions of their hydraulic muscles into their body walls, which help them move easily through dense undergrowth. Telescopocephalus belongs to a subgroup of tunicosaurs known as lygocephalans, or stickheads. Typically active during the day, they use their long, probing heads to break into the nests of colonial trikes. At night, they rest under pinnacles or in specially dug burrows. Telescopocephalus is currently the largest known lygocephalan, reaching over 1/2 meter in length. Its long, whip-like tail, often twice the length of its body, serves as both a predator distraction and, in males, a tool for sexual competition. The Fergulides, a little-known and obscure polydactyl group, are likely the closest relatives to the Turtiforms, having evolved for extensive digging and herbivory. These creatures possess surprisingly muscular second heads for their size, resembling, though unrelated to, those of large herbivores. These heads are equipped with plant-grinding surfaces and circular, chewing muscles, enabling them to handle all types of plant matter, whether hard or soft, green or red. Fergulides burrow primarily through sprog, continuously feeding as they tunnel. In some cases, they have been observed burrowing upward into the upper levels of dense tree pinnacles and pinnacle ranges. The 9 or 10 species of Toxoglossos are classified by some researchers as tunicosaurs, while others place them in a distinct group of their own. These creatures exhibit remarkable convergent evolution with Earth's flagelloglossid joss and chameleons. They possess a spring-like, hyperextensible second head, which they use to zap their prey in the trees. Unlike joss, but similar to Earth's chameleons, they feature a form of active camouflage and social display, though instead of changing colors, Toxoglossos can alter their shape. Muscular extensions of their skin along their back, flanks, and vents allow them to pinch out and reshape their bodies into silhouette-breaking forms. Given that many SNAIAD predators are colorblind, this ability to shift shapes is thought to be more advantageous than color-changing camouflage in the dynamic environment of the pinnacle ranges. Toxoglossos move in a distinctive, inchworm-like manner, gripping branches with one pair of legs while reaching forward with the other. Turtiforms are a distinct group of polydactyls with unique skeletal structures, resembling Earth's turtles but differing in several key ways. While their bodies are enclosed in a hard bony shell, this structure is beneath their dermal muscles, allowing their limbs to move more freely. Turtiforms vary in size and behavior, from small omnivores to fast predators and aquatic grazers. A Saptoderma represents a highly specialized or possibly primitive group of turtiforms, characterized by a significantly reduced bony shell and increased body flexibility. Instead of relying on a hard shell for protection, these creatures depend on their speed and rear-facing spines, and unlike many of their relatives, they exhibit a strong carnivorous diet. On the isolated continent of Thalassia, they occupy ecological niches similar to those filled by Tunic-aurian Whip sliders and other lizard-like groups on other continents. This group has a notably inconsistent distribution. While their relatives are found on Okaterra, Mapag, and smaller Eastern Ocean islands, they are absent from the mainland, despite fossil evidence showing their presence there. It is believed that these animals must have undergone a rare transoceanic rafting event in the past, only to become extinct on the mainland, likely due to competition from more typical turtiforms. The exact origin and taxonomic classification of the echinomochlids remain subjects of ongoing debate. Natatrix is a typical turtiform, an aquatic omnivore that feeds in freshwater and rests on land. Its feet have evolved into paddle-like structures, though its unwebbed toes still allow it to grip on land. On its second head, Natatrix has an additional tentacle, common to most species in the group, which is believed to serve both sensory and manipulative purposes, helping the animal detect and capture food in the murky waters. When disturbed, it secretes a sticky, foul-smelling liquid from its contracted first head. The two species of cylindroids and one related genus represent a distinctive group of marine turtiforms that are highly adapted to their environment. These cylindriform turtiforms have transformed the box-like inner shells of their relatives into a streamlined, hydrodynamic hull and fused the 6 digits on each limb into wide paddles. The most notable difference between cylindriforms and other turtiforms is their reproductive system. Instead of laying eggs, these species give birth to live young, which develop inside the neck of their first head, similar to other live-bearing SNAIAD creatures. Due to their pelagic lifestyle, little is known about these mysterious swimmers, though more cylindriform species may be discovered in the future. Scattered across the vast, lush plains of pansavanna like vibrant green melons, these conspicuous terrestrial turtiforms are generally avoided by most predators. They spend most of their time peacefully roaming the plains while their unusually active second heads continually collect small animals and nutrient-rich plants from the ground. When threatened, they vomit a highly potent irritant from their striped first heads with remarkable accuracy. This substance, a modified form of genital lubricant, is typically aimed at the eyes of attackers and has been known to blind or even kill young, inexperienced predators. Alongside the equally toxic turtle tanks and venomous Bandia Lophophid in the same region, SNAIAD zoologists have been closely studying pansavanna to understand why so many slow-moving yet heavily defended herbivores are concentrated there. One prevailing theory suggests the historical presence of unknown, aggressive predators, though no fossil evidence has yet supported this idea. The current predator population in pansavanna is not significantly different from that found on other mainland continents. The remarkable evolution of turtiforms spread to many islands, including the isolated Mapag in the Arite Ocean, where they gave rise to one of their most formidable lineages, the brute turtles. Lacking other predators, these awkward creatures evolved into garage-kit macropredators, bearing a disturbing resemblance to the fututors of the mainland. Unlike the agile fututors, however, brute turtles have nearly vertical legs and a rough, skid-like growth beneath their hips. Their second heads have lost the sensory tentacle common to their group, instead featuring saw-like edges of sharp spikes for tearing flesh. Their first heads are equipped with hook-shaped beaks to drag carcasses to their lairs. Despite these fearsome attributes, their primary hunting method involves simply jumping onto their prey and crushing it. While they mostly target the local giant armless blumbumen, they also hunt smaller animals when available. Haplobrachids are a unique group of land animals characterized by the absence of upper arms and legs, with hands and feet extending directly from their shoulder and hip joints. Despite this oddity, they have thrived in a variety of habitats, from forest floors to treetops, and are considered closely related to Lophophids and Sprogophidians, forming the clade Panophidia. Blind, deaf, and nearly legless, this unremarkable creature is part of a sister group to all other Haplobrachids. Initially resembling a chasmostome, a closer look at Vermiphagous' second head and limb structure reveals it is indeed a Haplobrachid, with the similarities between the two groups being a result of convergent evolution. Unlike most other burrowing creatures on SNAIAD, Vermiphagous spends its life underground, digging through the rich forest soil and feeding on anything it encounters. Although Vermiphagous hesi has a very limited range, closely related species of vermiphage haplobrachids are found throughout the mainland of SNAIAD. Due to their high reproduction rate, small size, and omnivorous diet, Ophimus and other related ophimids are widespread across SNAIAD, thriving in various environments. These creatures scurry through the underbrush using their distinctive claw-crawling movement and live in communal burrows. The species shown here, Fossorialis, is notable for its brightly colored cheek flanges, extensions of the first head mouth that help store food during foraging and accommodate a large litter during the breeding season. They consume a wide range of food, including picozoans, trikes, fruit, seeds, sprog stalks, and even the spongy fibers of sprog. In return, they serve as prey for many small predators. As a defense mechanism, some ophimids, including Fossorialis, have developed a mildly venomous bite in their first heads. This venom, found only in males, is derived from their semen and is harmless to humans. A predatory counterpart to the peaceful sloth snakes, Cynophidians are arboreal carnivores that evolved independently from ancestral haplobrachids. The rich and diverse forests, pinnacle ranges, and jungles of Westerna are home to a vast array of climbers, including spinostomes, joss, sloth snakes, other herbivores, and countless invertebrates. Over time, carnivorous relatives of the ophimids seem to have adapted to tree-dwelling life, evolving into the Cynophidians. Like ophimids, some Cynophidians have venom derived from sperm, but larger species, such as Cynopus giganteus pictured here, rely on the brute force of their claws and powerful jaws on their first heads to kill their prey. Adopting a weight-and-pound strategy, Cynophidians have slowed their metabolism, staying sluggish until they spring into action to capture prey. Cynopus giganteus also uses a notorious hunting tactic called dropping, where it pounces on prey from low-hanging branches, often killing it upon impact. This risky behavior, however, can leave the predator vulnerable to injury or other predators. One eyewitness account describes a Cynopus giganteus that broke its own back after attempting to leap onto an azonic Lophophid but landing incorrectly. The plains of the western continent are home to the burrows of cetognathid haplobrachids, such as Cetognathus sedator, which are underground carnivores that attract their prey using specialized, scented lures. It has developed a lure that mimics the common spider sea star invertebrates, a popular food source for small animals, while other species use lures that resemble the prey of different predators. As the largest species of this group, it can grow over a meter long. Initially, these creatures start as small, worm-like burrowers but shift from active hunting to a more stationary luring behavior as they mature. Though they may stay in their burrows for over a year, they are still capable of hunting if they become too hungry. Like the closely related ophimids, cetognathids use venom to subdue their prey, which is deadly to local creatures but causes hallucinatory effects on humans. Both sexes of cetognathids possess this venom, unlike the ophimids. In the cities of Savannah and Link, teenagers sometimes engage in snake riding, deliberately provoking cetognaths to bite in order to experience the drug-like effects, though overdoses are known to be fatal. Not all haplobrachids are small ground scurriers. In the vast expanse of jungle in the azonic region of Westerna, a group of haplobrachids have grown larger than many other species in their lineage. The large, sluggish sloth snakes are more often heard than seen, with their stereo screams echoing across the impenetrable chaos of the jungle. These calls serve to stake out the individual sloth snakes' grazing territories and also attract mates. Sloth snakes feed almost exclusively on vegetation and the fruits of the green and red plants abundant across their range. They move rather slowly from tree to tree, usually spending a few days on each gigantic plant to eat the best portions it has to offer. Although they look defenseless, their cryptic body shape, secretive habits, and finally, their sharp claws make sure that few predators in the jungle dare to bother them. There are more than 10 known species of sloth snakes living on SNAIAD, 4 of them in the azonic jungle. It is certain that more await discovery in the jungles, forests, and the pinnacle ranges of Westerna. This species is the largest one known, although even larger megasnakes are reported time to time by visiting explorers. Serpentine body shapes are common on SNAIAD, with most snakes being small to medium-sized carnivores, but Lophophids are an exception, being large herbivores. Their elongated bodies house long, fermenting guts capable of processing tough plant matter, and their second heads with rasping teeth allow them to feed on a wide variety of vegetation, including sprog, making them common large herbivores, especially in warmer climates. While the impressive Ankylophidians and strikingly patterned Bandiiforms often steal the spotlight, 2/3 of Lophophid species belong to the modest Florophidian subgroup. These small, snake-like herbivores, though some feed on small animals or even blood, lack the muscular, crawling pad seen in larger Lophophids. They inhabit a wide range of environments, including sproglands, scrublands, deserts, forests, and pinnacle ranges, with species adapting to their specific niches. The greatest diversity of Florophidians can be found in the jungles of western Westerna, where numerous dandy snakes, such as the pink-colored Apsinus rosei, thrive, often living together in large numbers on the same tree, with males displaying throat flaps for mating rituals. Not all Lophophids are stocky, slow-moving creatures with muscular traction pads on their bellies. The majority of Lophophid species are active undulators, moving with a lateral wave-like motion of their bodies. These species, known as Sigmophidian Lophophids, are also skilled swimmers and climbers, allowing them to exploit a variety of niches. Phytophyton jehani is one such versatile species, found in numerous habitats across its broad range. In some areas, it uses the toxins of acrodysterians for defense, while in others, it relies on its cryptic shape to stay hidden from predators. When threatened, Phytophyton jehani defends itself by thrashing wildly with its tail and body to ward off attackers. Despite its large size, it is one of the fastest Lophophids, capable of impressive bursts of speed through a unique, oversized sidewinding movement. This is a typical Lophophid, characterized by its lack of legs, powerful walking muscles on its underbelly, and a rasping second head that functions like a lawnmower, clearing sprog or vegetation. Like many Lophophids, Bandia lives in small family groups and is usually active during the day. Despite their slow-moving, bulky appearance, which might seem to make them vulnerable to predators, they have an interesting defense strategy. Occasionally, Bandia, like other Lophophid species, raids the nests of colonial trikes to consume the small, toxic invertebrates. Initially, this behavior led to the mistaken belief that Lophophids were similar to Earth's anteaters, but in reality, acrodysterian trikes make up only a small portion of their diet. The Lophophids somehow extract and store the potent toxins from these creatures, which makes them dangerous to predators. Any animal attempting to eat one of these creatures risks poisoning, which, while rarely fatal, can cause severe trauma. To highlight this threat, Bandia and similar species often have striking color patterns on their bodies. Bandia is commercially valuable on SNAIAD for its attractive patterned leather and unique body chemistry, which has potential for scientific use. Hunting these creatures in the wild is prohibited, and all products come from farmed populations. While some Lophophids use their toxic flesh as a defense, others have evolved to reach enormous sizes and develop thick body armor to protect themselves from predators. These giant forms have a broader distribution than their poisonous relatives, as their range isn't limited by the availability of nest-building acrodysterians, which are necessary for distilling their toxins. Acting like living combine harvesters, these giants continuously graze on sprog, grass, small shrubs, and other vegetation. As the largest of the ankylopid Lophophidians, they are more active at night, spending their days in thickets or at the bases of vegetative pinnacles in the pinnacle ranges. Their presence is often marked by the deep furrows they leave behind, twisting and turning across the landscape like gigantic scripts. Initially, these tracks were mistaken for alien Nazca lines during early aerial surveys of Westerna, but further research confirmed their true nature. To date, no intelligent species have been discovered on SNAIAD. These elusive and secretive aquatic Sigmophidian Lophophids are known from only a dozen specimens and a handful of unclear underwater photos. They feed on the plants that grow along the riverbed and occasionally come ashore to bask in the sun. Despite their highly specialized aquatic lifestyle, Hydrolophus is believed to be a recent descendant of other Sigmophidians, such as Phytophyton. Every year, expeditions are sent to the Skoptic River Delta in an attempt to learn more about this mysterious creature. On SNAIAD, some tree-like organisms have fleshy, thick, bark-like growths that shed seasonally, similar to how earth plants lose their leaves. Many creatures have evolved to exploit these nutrient-rich resources, including this unusual group of lophophids known as Chitonophidia. Lephidophis is a typical member of this group, featuring tough, plate-like scales along its back, a rasping second head concealed beneath its body, and a powerful, muscular traction pad on its belly, making it difficult to detach from the bark. Large clusters of them are often found on infected trees, shimmering in the upper branches like parasitic sequins. Despite their bright colors, few animals, except for certain specialized predators, disturb them. This is because Lephidophis, like its bandiform ancestors, can produce an irritating poison from the plant juices it consumes. Interestingly, Lephidophis and most other Chitonophidians are all female species capable of reproducing without males or mating. This allows them to be highly prolific, but also makes them susceptible to disease and other health issues, causing their populations to fluctuate in boom and bust cycles. The widespread presence of sprog, a spongy, porous vegetation, has led to the evolution of numerous limbless or reduced-limbed snake-like creatures on SNAIAD, many of which live in or burrow beneath the sprog. These creatures, believed to be related to each other in the grazing Lophophids, are grouped in the clade Sprogophidia, though their exact evolutionary relationships remain unclear, and this group may be paraphyletic. At first glance, this pale, snake-like creature may seem unremarkable, but its enigmatic relationships make it highly intriguing to SNAIAD biologists. Found only in the red maquis of the northern Neo-Mediterranean, Vangaspes preys on small animals using its hose-like secondary head, while its spade-shaped beak is used for digging. Its serpentine body lacks legs, and it uniquely has black blood, a rare trait among SNAIAD land animals. What makes Vangaspes particularly fascinating is that, apart from two closely related species within its genus, it has no clear relatives. While it is currently thought to form a sister clade to all other Sprogophidians, this classification may change as more research is conducted or related fossils are uncovered, making Vangaspes one of the most valuable and taxonomically unique species on SNAIAD. The emiforms, characterized by their tailless bodies, spike-bearing backbones, scissor-like beaks, and burrowing predatory behavior, form a distinct group within the Sprogophidia. Found in both the Giganti-picozoan landmass and the main continents, this distribution suggests that they are an ancient group that spread across these areas before the landmass is separated. Emis are fierce predators that burrow through earth, mud, and sprog to hunt other serpentine, burrowing creatures like themselves. They use their long, serrated beaks to tear apart prey, which is then consumed by their prehensile second heads hidden in their chests. Their spiked backbones not only assist with leverage while tunneling but also aid in digging backwards through the substrate. This feature once led to a proposed connection with futoders, who also possess pelvic spikes, but further research has debunked this theory. While some emis are docile, the red Notorian emi is notorious for its aggressive nature, biting, scratching, stabbing, and even defecating explosively when disturbed, with its bright coloration thought to startle potential predators. The megamouth is the largest of all emiforms, nearly 3 times the size and 10 times the weight of its closest competitor. Unlike its smaller relatives, it cannot dig underground, so it primarily acts as an ambush predator, hiding in a burrow camouflaged under sprog and other vegetation. When smaller animals pass by, it bursts out of its hiding spot, delivering crushing blows with its enormous head to kill its prey. It may also seize the opportunity to grab larger animals, like Numa gazelles or even humans, by their legs, though it rarely kills them. Instead, it often gets a substantial meal of torn flesh. At night, the megamouth leaves its burrow to feed on carcasses left by futoders and chihedrons, frequently nesting beneath freshly killed animals. During the scorching Pennsylvanian summers, it enters torpor, staying hidden in its burrow. This is a more typical species of Chasmostomos, commonly found in sprogland habitats rather than jungles. There are over 100 related species like this one, all leading simple lives, hunting small animals in sprog or other vegetation. Some species, such as Chasmostomos ammophilus, also burrow under desert sand. They have the ability to shed their fatty tails when threatened, though the tail does not regenerate once lost. Chasmostomes are a key food source for many small to medium-sized predators in their ecosystems. Retaining all 4 feet, a well-defined tail, head, and eyes, Casmostomes are the most primitive species within the Sprogophidian clades. However, they do possess specialized features, such as fatty food reserves in their tails and tentacle-fringed second heads, which cannot be retracted into their bodies. In some species, like Casmostomes vulgaris, the females' second heads have evolved into large traps. While both sexes initially lead active, burrowing predatory lives in leaf litter, sprog, or soil, females eventually settle into burrows, where they develop their trap-like mouths. These females feed exclusively on trikes, picozoans, softies, and other animals that are lured by the scent of rotting flesh. During times of scarcity, they rely on the fat stored in their swollen tails, though they will starve if they fail to capture prey for too long. For this reason, these trapdoor Casmostomes thrive only in jungles or forests with a year-round abundance of invertebrate prey. In contrast, the males appear more typical, leading a mobile lifestyle, with their first heads concealing worm-like genitalia used for burrowing to their mates' concealed wombs.